What's up, guys? Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen 2 is taking place this weekend. I'm going to really quickly be going through the card, giving my thoughts, giving my predictions and my breakdowns. And you know what? We're going to start it off with Melissa Mullins versus Nora Cornell. Ah! I hate fucking shitty WMMA fights like this. And it's bantamweight! Oh, it's going to be awful. Alright. Melissa Mullins is a minus like 400 favorite. I'm gonna pick her. All right. Dylan Budka versus Cesar Almeida. I'm gonna go with Dylan Budka. I think he's gonna, from what I've seen on the Contender Series, Cesar Almeida, good striking. All right, he's a good kickboxer, but he struggles with takedown defense. He got taken down and controlled by a guy who literally does not know how to grapple. And Dylan Budka was like a college, he got kicked out of college. I don't know what for, but he's 24, so fuck. This is probably like his last resort. But he was in high school, he was like a state, national, regional, like county, district champion at he has good wrestling. He is better than the last guy to take Cesar Almeida down. I'm going to pick Dylan Budka to win by either decision or maybe a submission. I just don't think Cesar Almeida's old too. He's 36. Budka's 24. I just think Budka, in terms of the physical, in terms of like his physical and all that, he just has all the advantages. So Dylan Budka. John Matsumoto versus Dan Argueta. Hold on, let me see. Okay, I think I've seen this fight. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I've seen this fight. I'm gonna go with John Matsumoto. I think Dan Argueta should be 10-1 right now, because that guillotine he had on, I forget his name. Let's look. He had a guillotine on someone. Ronald Lawrence? I don't know his fucking name. I know his name is Lawrence. I was watching this. He had it in and the ref stopped it prematurely. Regardless, after watching Miles John's last fight against Cody Gibson and seeing the fact that Dan Argueta lost every round to him, I'm going to go with John Matsumoto. Again, younger guy. I think in terms of like skill and, I just think he's more skilled. Simple as that. We're going with John Matsumoto. I think I watched Dan Argueta's last fight or something like that. I don't even remember, dude. It's the prelims. These fight nights are getting fucking impossible to get through. I want to kill myself. Hey Siri, flip a coin. Rodriguez heads. Oh, it landed on heads. Alright, we're picking Piera Rodriguez. Moving on. Norma Dumont versus Jermaine Random. Why are you coming back? You literally abandoned the belt because you did not want to defend against anyone. I'm going with Norma Dumont because Jermaine Durand means a bitch. Alex Morono versus Court McGee. I'm going to go with Alex Morono. Just the younger guy. He doesn't have a lot of heat in his hands. Yeah, he was able to drop Ponzinibbio like 3 times, but then again, Ponzinibbio has like no chin. At this point, he has no chin. I think his chin has just decayed too much. Alex Morono, I think he has good footwork. I think he has... honestly, he has pretty decent boxing, pretty decent footwork. I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to be top 15, but he's always going to be a good like litmus test. And I think Court McGee is just old. Alex Morono is 33, physically kind of his prime. So I just think he's going to be able to whether he's going to be able to, jab him at range, put together some, decent combinations, take him down, and I'm going to say 30-27 Alex Morono. Oh, I actually know. This is this main card is actually pretty decent. Let me say this. This main card is pretty decent. Charlie Campbell, Trevor Peek. I'm going with Charlie Campbell. I watched his debut fight, and I think he's actually really fucking good. He has good, really precise striking. He knows when to throw the straight shots down the pipe. He knows how to mix it up and throw around the guard. He's smart to throw around the guard. He'll mix it up, get your hands moving in different places, and then attack you where you're open. He's a good slick striker. And Trevor Peek is kind of just wild man. He is just wild man. All right, he'll run at you. It's impossible to knock this motherfucker out. And there's always a threat that he just throws something and knocks you out. I like Trevor Peek. He's a fun fighter. I really think if you had Trevor Peek with Charlie Campbell striking, you have the best fighter in the UFC. Hands down. Trevor Peek with Charlie Campbell striking would be like Benoit Saint Denis with Rafael Fiziev striking. It'd be like damn near impossible to beat. Because Trevor Peek, he just gets hit and he's just like, nah, I'm good. And he has good power in his hands. Physically, he is a specimen. In terms of technique, there's a lot lacking. Gas tank, there's some lacking. And Charlie Campbell, I think he's just skilled enough and fast enough and long enough to keep him on the outside and be able to not only outpoint him, but land good, hard shots that'll win in the fight. Probably 30-27, maybe 30-26. Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Walter Walker versus Lucas Brzeski. Walter Walker is Johnny Walker's younger brother. Imagine a bigger, stronger Johnny Walker, and get this, with a chin. This man can take a shot. I'm going to be picking Walter Walker. From what I've seen, he has pretty good striking. He has pretty good power. He can take a hit, and Lucas Brzeski got knocked out by Waldo Cortez Acosta, and Waldo Cortez Acosta couldn't knock out Andrei Arlovsky, and arguably lost to Andrei Arlovsky. Then again, that's not a bad thing, but it's the fact that he was like, it's just Waldo Cortez Acosta's kind of a bitch. He's kind of a bitch. And Lucas Brzeski got knocked out by him. Waldo Cortez Acosta does not have power. He doesn't have power. He doesn't have power. I think Walter Walker is going to fucking knock out Lucas Brzeski. I think it's going to knock him the fuck out. He's big, strong. Not the fastest, but at the end of the day, it's heavyweight. Until you get into the top 5, you don't exactly need to be the fastest. Because once you start fighting guys like Gane and Aspinall, then it's like, oh man, I'm not fast. I can't fucking hit them at all. But until then, you don't really need to be the fastest. So I'm picking Walter Walker because he's fighting an unranked heavyweight who's 0-3-1 in the UFC. Simple as. Christos Giagos versus Ignacio Bahamondes. I don't know. A part of me wants to pick Giagos because when Giagos fought Zellhuber, he did really good in being able to find his way on the inside and crack Zellhuber's chin. And then he just stopped. But then again, I don't think Zellhuber's expecting it. And Ignacio Bahamondes, I mean, the last time he fought someone with the build of Giagos was, Ludovic Klein? And he kind of struggled with him. And no, he got completely outclassed by him. I think if Yagos can kind of, even kind of replicate what Ludovic Klein did, then I think he can beat him. But damn, dude, I don't know. Because like it's hard to trust Bahamundes after that loss. But then again, Bahamundes has been training with Bilal Muhammad and Charles Radke. And we saw how Charles Radke did in his last fight. Fucking slept Gilbert Urbina. I'd like to believe Ignacio Bahamundes has made the necessary improvements, so I'm going to go with Bahamundes 30-27. He's beat Trey Ogden. Who all has he beat? I remember these names. Roosevelt Roberts and one other guy. Rong Zhu, who has now made a run on the road to UFC. And I think he won. He won, yeah. So I'm going to be going with Bahamundes. Yeah, 30-27 unanimous decision. Chepe Mariscal versus Morgan Charrier. Oh, man, dude. It's fucking... I'm not like... This isn't a Garone thing. I actually like both. These guys. This is a fight that I was kind of excited for. I'm gonna go with Chepe Mariscal. I'm going to go with Chepe Mariscal. Chepe Mariscal has... People want to deny him this. But you know what? He has good wins. Alright? Let's go through and look at some of these good wins. So... he's lost to Gregor Gillespie. It's not a bad win. Especially at this time when Gillespie was on the come-up. Bryce Mitchell, not a bad loss at all. Both of these aren't bad losses. He's beat Pat Sabatini. Yusuf Zalal. He's lost to Joanderson Brito and Steve Garcia? Steve Garcia is like a foot taller than him. And Joanderson Brito, everyone knows now Joanderson Brito is a fucking beast. So his best wins, Yusuf Zalal and Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini was on like a 4-fight win streak in the UFC at one point. Yusuf Zalal just made a comeback to the UFC. Yusuf Zalal made a comeback to the UFC, and he took out Billy Quarantillo with ease. So Yusuf Zalal is a good win. Trevor Peek? Trevor Peek is on this card. Trevor Peek isn't a bad win. Especially when he's undefeated and up a weight class against a much bigger Peek. Jack Jenkins, as much as people want to deny it, he wasn't doing awful in that fight. He was making it competitive. Look at the strike differential. It was not that far apart. And he was starting to come back in the second round. I had him winning that second round up until that point. Did he lose the first round? Yeah, I'll admit, he lost the first round. But I had him winning that second round up until that point. Okay? People just want to push the narrative that he's just bad. He's not the greatest. He's not the greatest, but he's not bad. And Morgan Charrier hasn't beat anyone notable enough. God damn it, he was scheduled to fight Sung Woo Choi, who is 1-3 in his last 4. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chepe Mariscal. I think I like his dirty boxing. I like his striking. It's not bad. I like his judo. He was able to break Jack Jenkins' arm with it. And you know what? Morgan Charrier, he's lost to people who are just better than him, who have went on to still have better records than him, who are 12-2, or 11, or 12-1, who still haven't gotten signed to the UFC. That's crazy, by the way. This guy has 500,000 followers, but he hasn't beaten anyone notable, and he gets signed. But fucking 12-1, fucking, I forget their name. I know they beat 2 guys who are really good, who have both beat Morgan Charrier, who are beating 7-1, 10-1 guys who are on their level. They haven't gotten signed yet. It's fucked up. Morgan Charrier, he's just They've been trying to feed him layups to try and like get him to the top. Never gonna be at the top of the sport, I don't think. So I'm gonna go with Chepe Mariscal. Then again, Chepe, he took this on 6 weeks' notice. It's not the most short notice. I think he'll be fine. Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson. Hernandez doesn't have bad wins. He doesn't have bad wins. What? Who is? Look, Mike Breeden, not a good win. But oh my god, never mind. Actually, never mind. Oh, he's lost to what, Jamal Emmers early on, but he can always lay claim to that Beneil Dariush win early on in his career, and that is a good win. You cannot say otherwise. Oliver Aubin Mercier, not a bad win. The guy went on to be like a PFL champion, 23-5. Fucking Jim Miller. Jim Miller at this point in time is not a bad win. Who's he lost to? Bill Algeo, Billy Quarantillo, Moicano, Moises, Dober, Cerrone. His losses are really to only like pretty good fighters. Like literally, Billy Q, Renato Moicano, Bill Algeo, Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, Donald Cerrone, Jamal Emmers. None of these guys are bad. But Damon Jackson is so like awkwardly good. I'll say he's actually pretty decent. But I think an explosive guy like Hernandez, I think he'll be able to do it. And I don't know why, I'm just feeling a first round knockout from Hernandez. But I think if he doesn't get that first round knockout, he's gonna gas, probably. Actually, no, he took Jim Miller to the decision. I'm gonna pick Alexander Hernandez to just win. The big one. The big shitter. Actually, it's not bad. It's not a shitter. I actually like this matchup. Dude, I'm gonna go with Chris Curtis. I think he can do it. I think he did it once. He can do it. He can't do it again. I don't think Brendan Allen's gonna be able to get him to the ground. Imavov was barely able to get Chris Curtis to the ground, and I think Imavov has really underrated in good wrestling, better than Brendan Allen. I think if it does go to the ground, I think Chris Curtis is probably fucked because, I just said Imavov has a better takedowns and wrestling than Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen probably has the best submission game in the division. He has the best submission game in the division. I'll just say it. But I think it's a matter of can he get it down there? And I don't think he can. And I think a guy like Chris Curtis, who's, good counter striker, he has good defense. Brendan Allen has made strides in his striking. He's good. He's a great striker. I don't see anything that Brendan Allen in the striking has that Chris Curtis hasn't seen. Chris Curtis was able to beat a much grittier and a much bigger and deadlier striker in Marc-Andre Barriault, who I think Brendan Allen is better than Barriault by leagues. I think in the striking, Brendan Allen is just going to be a step. I think Chris Curtis is just going to be a step ahead. And I think eventually in somewhere maybe like the third round, maybe the third, maybe the fourth, I think that's where we're going to see Chris Curtis maybe find that mark and really put a stop to Brendan Allen and knock him out. I'm going to go with a fourth round knockout for Chris Curtis. Yeah, that's about it. UFC Apex events are getting shittier and shittier. However, this main card isn't awful. I wish I could say the same thing for the prelims. You see this shit? This starts at 2 p.m. Main card starts at 5 p.m. I have to sit through 3 hours of this shit just to get a decent Apex main card. And this is decent only by Apex standards. That's about it. That's all I really have to say for this one. I'm just praying. I'm just waiting for June where I get to watch Chimaev Whitaker. Oh, I'm just coming thinking about it. Yeah. All in all, shit prelims. Not the worst main card. That'll be it. Bye bye.